time, are you still thinking that you're in ice, or do you realize what's happened and that you're actually stuck in this windshield?
At
and
that point,
you're kind of coming to, and you're seeing.
At that point, I've actually got a grasp on something has happened, you know, with this vehicle.
Right.
I didn't know what, but I knew something. I didn't know if we'd hit a ditch, if someone had hit us, or if a plane had crashed on top of us, or what. But I knew it was something.
You don't really remember actually the physical impact.
Right.
Actually, it happening. You don't remember that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So, what was the last thing that you remembered before the accident?
Before that.
Do you remember driving in the car,
yeah, just
talking
being
to
in
your
the car,
friends?
just being in the car,
And
thinking
then-
about bacon and scrambled eggs and stuff, you know, and just it does, doesn't it? Yeah, just thinking about what I was going to eat, really, just thinking about where we were going to go to eat.
What happened? You're talking to your friend, you're looking at him, and then the next thing you're waking up, literally your head's in the windshield. So basically, it could have been a matter of 2 minutes, 30 seconds. You have no idea what the time span.
That's true. I have no idea how long that time span was. It seemed to just go bam, bam, bam to me. Crushed ice, flashing lights, firemen.
But it could have been even 15 minutes or something. True. If the ambulance, if you see these lights, and that could, was that the ambulance coming?
I believe so, or the fire truck, because it's red lights.
So.
Yeah.
That could have been, I mean, I don't know how long it would have taken, but even if it would have taken, I mean, it could have taken 10 minutes or something, and yet to you, maybe it seemed like 2 seconds.
Exactly. That's totally gone.
That's interesting. So maybe you did black out in some
I must have been knocked out with the impact. I mean.
Right. Hopefully.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Yeah.
So then
Indeed.
the fire truck comes or ambulance comes. Do you remember that whole process of them getting you out?
Yes, I do. I do. I remember the smell of the fire jacket, you know, the yellow jacket with the dirt on it. And
it's interesting, the senses that come into play.
Exactly.
You say, I remember the smell of the fire jacket.
Right, right. You know,
I remember seeing this guy. I remember, you know, you remember the smell, and that's interesting that that sense comes out.
I never really thought about that, but you're right. That is an interesting factor. And so he takes me out of the vehicle.
How does he get you out?
Now that I'm totally rusty. I'm not sure.
You don't have any idea.
They have special techniques to get you onto
I'm just thinking if your head is stuck in a windshield, like I have a mental picture of that. How do they get you out of that situation? I mean,
Right, I couldn't really see.
I don't have any idea, and I can sit here and speculate and still wouldn't know.
Right.
Okay. And you don't, you're not sitting there watching it.
Right.
So they put you on a gurney and take you away. Now, do you know at this time what's happened to anybody else in the accident?
No idea.
You're just concentrating on yourself.
Well, I was very concerned about him, actually.
Right.
I wasn't too concerned about myself. But I just had no idea what had happened to him. I didn't know if they was alive, if they was dead, if they were fine, and I was the only one who got hurt, if a bowling board came through my side of the car or what, you know.
Oh, that's a good point. She didn't even know that you were in a car wreck. You had no idea, basically.
Right.
A bowling ball came through.
But once I was in the hands of the paramedic and I could see the wreck. The paramedic, she was cleaning me up, vacuuming all the glass off of my face. And,
do you remember that sound? Because that doesn't sound like that.
I do remember that sound.
Because even when you think of like a regular vacuum cleaner vacuuming up glass, it's kind of like this scratchy sound.
Scratching and slurping.
Imagine like it on your face. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it was pretty awful.
I'm just like, ooh,
yeah,
that's got to be tough.
And here's the weird thing.
Now, could you feel anything at this point?
Not really. I believe I was in shock because I couldn't feel any pain at all. And this was before they'd, give me any kind of pain medicine or anything. As far as I know, that's
I'm thinking that's a blessing, though.
Oh, definitely a blessing. I was just trying to figure it out.
I wonder what comes in to play in order for you to not feel anything.
Right.
Because it's got to be something.
Some chemical.
Like you said you're numb, so it's got to be something within your body that just is like, you're in too much pain, we're going to, something in your body like knocks you out or something so you can't feel any of that pain.
Right.
Because I can imagine like what that pain would be like.
Yeah, we have a defense mechanism, I guess, that just takes care of that for us when we're traumatized.
Right.
It cuts it out of our memory, and it also helps you deal with the pain. Interesting, huh?
Very. So then what happened?
Well, I'm laying there on the stretcher in the ambulance. They're heading to the hospital. The paramedic is vacuuming the blood off me, and I'm asking her, what happened? And she's telling me, you was in a car wreck. And I'm like, oh, okay, but what happened? You was in a car wreck. I said, okay, I know that, but what happened? So at this time, she thinks I have some sort of amnesia, whereas I'm just really wanting her to elaborate more.
Right.
Fortunately, I was still incoherent. And this was actually on tape. There was actually a documentary where they go from university hospital to university hospital throughout the United States, and this was actually all caught on tape, and I actually got a chance to see it. But I'm laying there on a stretcher, and it looks like my eyes are open, and that I'm looking up.
Right.
But they're actually closed. But my eyelids were cut open, so it looked like my eyes were open.
Wait. Your eyelids were cut open. So are you saying that where your eyelid connects here, there was actually kind of an incision here, and the part that's connected right here, this part was all the way down here?
Exactly.
And then you had nothing
Nothing.
connecting it to
That's
this
your
part.
lid. Right, exactly.
So literally it was like two pieces held together maybe by like right here or something?
Right, exactly. Just
But
like
it was just an opening.
as if you went with a knife on the side of a tent and just slashed it, how one part had just
One
falls
part
down.
falls down, and you can see inside. So they had to go and sew it back?
Both.
Both of them. That's interesting. I've never heard of that happening.
So when we get to the hospital now,
Was that painful? Did you
it
feel
was. It was. And one
Was
time,
that the most painful?
That was.
part?
That's when my senses started to come back, and I was a little more grounded. But at one point, I actually grabbed the surgeon's hand and told him, "Look, you're being too rough. You know, I know he was doing his best job." And
Did they knock you out? Did they give
I
you
was
medication?
conscious. I was conscious,
Wait,
and I was laying there.
wait. They didn't give you any medication?
Well, I'm sure they
Fix
give.
your eyelids?
Well, not enough to knock me out.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's rough.
So when we
That's
got to the hospital and they begin the stitching up process, I'm laying there and I'm actually physically watching a needle come at my eyeball, stitch, and go away, which I dare say was the most gruesome experience I've ever had to deal with.
That would be very difficult, I would have to say, sitting
was.
here watching a needle come at my eye
Yeah.
and just have to sit there and basically, A, take it, and B, trust the person that they're not going to poke the needle in my eye.
True, true.
Because, I mean, seriously, talk about an eighth of an inch when with the head in the windshield. If you moved an eighth of an inch when they were doing that with your eye, oh, that's frightening.
It is very frightening.
So did they have that on tape?
I never saw that, but I'm sure they did somewhere.
That would be interesting. So when you were watching the documentary, was it surreal? I mean, did it feel like it was you? Did you have feelings come up and you were like, oh God, that's me? Or did it seem like it was a whole nother person that you were watching?
It was kind of weird. I can't quite put my finger on it. It was, I knew it was me, but I just couldn't believe I'd actually been through that. We always
I think I told you before when I first met you that, not to compare the two situations, but whenever I go overseas to Europe or something to visit and then I come back, I'm like, oh my God, and I look at pictures, I'm like, was that just me over there? I can't believe it was me just to all these neat places or whatever. And it would almost seem like that would be the same case. Like if I'm watching myself going through all that, it would be like, okay, I know that's me. I'm seeing that it's me. I can, you know, I see that I'm going through all this, but it would be almost unreal that I'm watching myself going through all that.
Yeah.
And then I'm still here to watch myself go through all that.
Exactly. It's hard to believe, you know, it's as if it never happened.
Right.
In a way, but it did happen. It's very real.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is, that it almost didn't happen in a way, but it did. That's a good way to put it. So you say the driver of your vehicle is in jail. How did that come about?
Well, he'd actually, unfortunately, he'd had a previous DUI.
Wait, did he blow over the limit?